Alrighty, guys, we're getting back into it on our second game of the semifinals in the tournament. We've got Boone over here as the Protoss, and we've got Henry over here on the Zerg. Henry's on a one-game lead right now. He built up a really, really aggressive economy and smashed it into Boone pretty quickly. It took about 9.5 minutes. Fairly decisive and quick game compared to a lot of the games we see in the blind tournament that we've got going on in tandem with this. We've got normal builds coming out, Pylon, Gateway. We see Overlords coming up out of here. It's pretty normal for more experienced players to expand their supply cap right away, so that way you can fit enough workers to actually saturate your first base. Henry with an early hatchery coming out here. We got the Overlord moving to Scout. And we've got an Assimilator up for Boone here. Boone is not using a probe to scout or anything like that yet. But we're going to see if he can utilize some of his early gateway lead that he's got here. Because he's gone for a gateway over an extra Nexus right away, whereas Henry is currently ahead on the hatchery game, but he does not have a spawning pool up yet, which means that a very early Zealot coming out of here, which it looks like he's got it chrono boosted as well. This is going to be very, very big. Theoretically, these Zealots are going to be coming out before Henry has even started to produce a spawning pool. There it goes. So we've got a spawning pool out. We've got a Zealot out the door already. One Zealot can easily beat two Zerglings, given right pacing, so he could theoretically engage with this right now and be in very good position. Get a little early harassment off, especially on this forward base here. Forward base has only one drone on it so far. We're not saturated up on our drone line yet. We see Boone getting supply locked right now. This is a very unfortunate predicament. Pylon going up to help deal with this. He needs to try to utilize these Zealots to gain some kind of advantage. A couple pointers that we touched on for Boone in his last game was being a little bit more aggressive with early units and scouting to figure out how aggressive he can be with mineral expansion. We're going to take a look at our production line here. We got two Queens coming up for Henry here. We've got Protoss coming up with Zealots, Probes, Nexus. We got the natural base getting expanded here. It's very nice. Second gateway coming up over here. Spawning pool is online. We see two Zerglings coming up out of that. Henry has a 4-worker lead, and it only has 2 Queens to 3 Zealots right now. He's got 2 Queens, 2 Zerglings to 3 Zealots. That's fine. Probably enough as long as he can fight all together. But with these Queens pumping larvae into these hatcheries, he's going to find himself in a situation where these units are not going to be able to defend. So theoretically, the Zealot here can fight these Zerglings off if the Queen is not pulled away fast enough. We'll see what we do, though. Boone checking for the third base. This is very good. He's checking to see how aggressive he needs to be with his mineral expansion. He's seeing that he doesn't need to be, so he can pump a little bit more into his production of units, maybe. We're going to see how that pays off. He's got 4 units coming forward. Compared to Henry's forces right now, this is going to be definitely enough to get at least some really solid harassment off. We see the Queen immediately diverting away to get into this, but we got a worker going down, just a worker, but we're oversaturated on the mineral line, so those losses are not particularly devastating. We see creep spread going up for Henry. So Henry is using a Queen's ability to build creep tumors. These spread out over time by activating them to give more creep. More creep for Zerg means they move faster in more places. This army is not going to be very good at this engage at this particular point in time because they're... Oh, as long as he can get the Zerglings to react. Zerglings are not reacting. Queen going down. Huge. Is he going to get the second Queen before Henry can react with the Zerglings? We're going to see. Oh, he's definitely going to get it. This is huge for Boone right now. Boone getting into the worker line before Henry is reacting with his couple of Zerglings floating under his Overlords. These drones diverting away from the mineral line to attack. We've got 7 roaches coming out now, but 1 weapons are coming up. We got Zealot out. How many? What have we got here? We got Gateway, both producing Zealots. This is going to be able to keep pace with these roaches kind of fine. But we really need to see some bigger units coming out of Boone here. He's actually starting to use his Chrono Boost. We've never seen a Protoss player yet in the tournament using their Chrono Boosts, and now Boone is on top of it. He's utilizing his Chrono Boost multiple times now. It's very, very good. This helps you produce workers very fast. It makes your buildings produce faster. It makes your buildings build faster. It's very, very good. Huge ability for the Protoss, and they need to be using it constantly in order to keep pace. Especially with a Zerg player that is playing this aggressively. Henry's got a ton of minerals built up. He's really all just on the production system, trying to figure out how he can get enough larvae together to spend them all. And we're seeing him get the queens back up right away. Those queens dying cost him a little bit, but it was not quite so much as Boone lost in that engagement. Zealots are expensive units, 100 minerals a piece, nothing to sneeze at. We got supply about even right now. More supply coming out for Henry as far as supply cap goes, but we're going to see how effectively he spends that. We've got more roaches coming out. This is not a good engage out of Boone here. He needs to be careful about what he's doing, because if he walks into those roaches, he's going to get melted. Roaches are very, very, very good against Zealots. They're tough. They shoot just a little bit further. I mean, Zealots are melee units, but roaches have a little bit of range on them, so that helps. And they do a ton of damage, honestly. They're really strong. Boone might want to realize that he needs to disengage off of this, depending on where he's at. Boone checking for the third base again. He's up a base now. Henry has scouted the third base. Theoretically, he could pull ahead on the mineral count here. We're seeing him fall behind just a little bit on built units. He's got 41... Henry has 41 military units, 24 military units out of Boone. So he really needs to be pumping up his production numbers. He could build 2, 3 more gateways and start spilling units out of that very quickly with a bunch more pylons in access. But he's doing fine so far. You see Twilight Council coming up. Zealot Charge will make the fight against the roaches significantly more reasonable. Got a lot of roaches up here. We got 24 roaches out of Henry here. That's a lot. Henry has mined away this small, rich resource node and built a third base down here where Boone can't quite see it. It's a secret. He's got a secret little base down here that'll help a lot. There's a rich mineral base down here at the bottom of the map. That is kind of hidden away, and it's directly in between the two players, so it's very open to air harassment if the players choose to kind of take this game long. We're seeing 61 military units to Boone's 36. He needs to pump up his production numbers. He needs to be either building more buildings that produce units, utilizing his Chrono Boost more effectively, something to defend against this mass of roaches that is about to come at him. Even if it's just building turrets or something, because he's going to get melted here in a second. He's down just 3. Let's take a look at our income track real quick. They're still even on income right now. Henry's just like a little bit ahead. He's got a couple more minerals ahead, and he's got way less minerals in the bank, which means that he is just, you can see it all. You see all the materials. 75 military units to 42. We got 2 more production buildings coming out of Boone here. This is very good. He realizes that he's got a big stockpile and he needs to be spending his resources. He's not doing it fast enough, so he needs to fix that problem. Evolution Chamber doesn't have melee attacks, but he's got missile attacks upgrading to level 1. That's all that roaches use, so super duper reasonable. We don't see armor out of him yet. Oh, we do. No, he does have armor. It just is not showing on these guys. Does he have another? He has another Evo chamber researching him. That's what's going on. So we've got Boone ahead a little bit on upgrades in this exact moment, which is helpful. It's going to make it not so bad. But we could see more, potentially. Boone's catching up a little bit. Okay, okay, this might not be so bad. Depending on how he attacks with these units right now, we could see something very effective go on. Uh-oh. It looks like we're just putting stuff into the meat grinder. This is not going to trade off well. We're bleeding a lot of our military units right now for basically no gain. We'll see how aggressive Henry gets with this. Being off a creep, though, with these roaches is really slow. So he's got a second to react, but it's not very long. We've got a Void Ray coming up. This Void Ray can just kill all these guys. Henry has only 3 Hydralisks to back up this army right now. We'll see if he's got more on the way. He does, and he's got Mutalisks on the way, too. This is going to be very tough. Oh my gosh, what are we seeing? Henry's got sequenced actions here. Do you see this? Look at this. He's got 5 attack moves sequenced on these roaches. This is ugly. Oh, but Boone is focusing on the Hydralisks, so he's got the Void Rays in the sky. So he could find himself in a situation where he's got a one-sided army. Depends on how long the reinforcements take to arrive here at a Henry. They're not moving yet, so Boone could theoretically defend himself here by only losing this one mineral line even. It doesn't even look like he's going to lose too much of his base. That is going to drive his income down significantly, which is going to help Henry to kind of pull ahead in the long game here, but we'll see how much that matters. He's lost power. Boone has lost power to these buildings, which is a bit of a problem. Oh, we got a High Templar coming out. High Templar doing a little bit of damage, but not quite enough. This Void Ray just chipping away at the problem. Henry has 34 Zerglings in production. He said, okay, just a Void Ray to deal with. I can come in and clean this up with this. Unfortunately, it looks like Boone's production did not keep up with this particular situation. Boone does have a Phoenix up to kind of deal with these Mutalisks a little bit, but it's not going to be quite enough. And that'll be Henry's game. End of the series. Yeah, congratulations on winning your semifinals. That was just a very tight expansion and careful management of your production. Boone was really, really close there. He needed to build an extra production building maybe a minute earlier, maybe 2 production buildings a minute earlier than he did, and he was probably there. But yeah, that'll wipe it up. Alrighty. Yeah, that was a really close game still, honestly. Boone